Hi, everyone. This is Leeza Steindorf back again for our Woman Undaunted second live webinar on passion tonight. And I'm really glad to have you all. I'm getting a little bit more comfortable with this IT adventure of mine, so thank you for being here. And I'm excited to talk to you tonight about passion, and thank you to those of you who have sent in questions and comments. So passion, what is all that about? First of all, let me talk a little bit about Woman Undaunted. We are all, as women, very, very powerful. We have power, we have passion, we have our playful side, and we also have a purpose that drives us. And those are the aspects of ourselves as women that I want to support and I want to help you discover and expand on so you really can live a life that you love living. And in March of 2018, I have a retreat coming up in Portland, Oregon, beautiful Portland, Oregon. Woman Undaunted, March 31st, April 1st and 2nd. So this is a little taster of that, but I want to offer to you also content that you can use and that you can already start implementing in your life right now. So in talking about passion, there are, let's say, three areas of passion that we can explore and feel. One is emotional passion, the other one is physical passion, and then there's also professional passion, or the thing, our calling. And I want to touch on each one of those a little bit. First, I want to talk about us as women, because as young girls, often we get our passion shut down, either through our upbringing, that we're seen and not heard. Oh, it's so nice to have you all here. I see everybody popping in. So we have, through our upbringing, we are told that we should be seen and not heard. As it was in my house, I wasn't a boy, so I really didn't have a voice. That was the background of my parents, or that girls don't count. In relationships, we also often feel that there's the male domination, because that male-female polarity that's so important gets off balance. And then the male has the domination, or the female becomes subservient. And then also socially, in our social circles here in the world, we have that, the female is objectified, our physical being, our sexuality is objectified in the world today. And we see a lot of that, thank God, coming out now in the Me Too movement, or in women starting to speak about the injustices that they've been experiencing, which is so important and vital. So there's been a lot of overt and covert messages that our passion is dangerous, or when we have desires that they somehow aren't allowed. And so that's what we want to talk about tonight in our webinar. Oh, wonderful to see you all, Kelly and Peg and Christine, Kathleen. Oh, how fun. Charles, Kathleen, thank you so much for being here, everyone. So let's go a little bit farther into this. Now, I personally have a great story, a number of them, about passion, as I'm sure that you do. And some of our passionate stories take us out of our comfort zone. And we can keep those in our value system and still kind of stretch beyond our boundaries of what we're used to. And in March at the retreat, we'll go a little bit deeper into sharing those stories. We're going to have a fireside talk on that weekend, which will be really exciting. And by the way, there's still the early bird special on that, so make sure you get that. But I'd like to share with you tonight a story, just briefly, about a young girl who really lived her passion. And many of you probably know her, Malala, from Pakistan. And her story is really unusual, but I think it portrays what passion's all about. So her father had dreamed, they lived in Pakistan, and her in the Swat Valley, and her father had dreamed of starting a school, which he did. And his daughter Malala was one of the best students. She was actually the leader in her class, just really sharp, smart girl. And the Taliban came into Pakistan, and they had their rules and their ways of living, and the females were really shut down in many different ways. TV wasn't allowed in the families, and CDs, no external music. But when they finally got to the point of saying that girls should not be educated, that's when Malala, age of 14, really started speaking out, and also her father. And her dad started getting nervous about something happening. Well, indeed it did. She was in a bus one day, and a man stopped the bus and got on and asked where Malala was, and then he took out a gun and shot her in the face. And she almost died. It was almost a fatal wound, and they rushed her to through many different channels, but through a high security hospital in the UK, where then her family joined her, and she did survive, and she's become a voice for not only female education, but just for females in the world. That's passion. That's something that drove her from inside and let her live her passion and her purpose out in the world. So that's the kind of power and passion that I'm talking about tonight. So I had asked you all to send in some questions, and hey, Sky, Gwen, oh, wonderful to see you all. Tyler, Sandra, thank you for coming. So I wanted to share with you some of the questions that came in about passion. And I will have to share that, you know, a lot of times you hear the word passion and it gets a little uncomfortable because we usually only identify that with physical or sexual passion. But as I said, it's this power and this drive, this energy that comes up through us if we allow it. And so I looked at the questions and boiled them down to 3 today with my partner, Christine. And I'd like to share those with you and talk about them a little bit. So one of them is, if your passion gets shut down, how do you get it back? And it can get shut down in many different ways, as we talked about, through our upbringing or culturally, or maybe through a particular event or trauma that we've experienced. How do we deal with that? And last time I shared with you an acronym of how you can walk through things, and I'd like to step back to that again. I explained it last time as SODA. This time I've explained it a little differently as SNOWS. So you see what's happening, you neutralize it, which means you take out all the judgment and you just see it for what it is. You own it, you establish a desire, and then you stride toward that. So if something has happened, let's say that you were in a relationship and you felt like you weren't attractive anymore, or you've been through a divorce, as I have, and your self-esteem dips and you think, well, maybe I'm just not, I don't have anything to offer, or I'm not that passionate anymore, it's just gone. That you can break it down, that event, and really look at it and allow that to bubble up again. And if you want to, the best way to do it is to start in small places where it's safe, or you're not going to pay a big price to feel that passion, that power, maybe with your children, or when you're alone on your own, just to kind of get in that place of when you feel beautiful, you feel worthy, and you feel that energy and let it come up. Or when you're doing a hobby, maybe some of you have seen that I started doing stand-up paddleboarding, and that's some place that I've really started to feel my own passion, that I gave myself the permission to not only feel my power, but to, you know, striding through the water with a, you know, paddle on the Columbia River, like that was really passionate for me to be able to do that on my own. And so when you kind of build a little bit of traction feeling your passion, then you can also start to take risks, maybe in a relationship. And if you are in a long-term relationship, to try out different things with your partner as far as dating or doing things together, having conversations that are passionate. In your career, to maybe have that project that you really want to push through at your company, to talk to your boss about it and let that passion come up, because that's what people get excited about. And also physically, intimately, to let that passion come through, and if you're in an intimate relationship with someone. So when you feel like your passion's shut down, you can start, first of all, to see it, not judge it, that it is shut down, and then start in small ways and let it build, and then kind of start taking some risks with it. So another question that came up is, what about in long-term relationships? What if you've been in a relationship, you love each other, but it's become maybe a little ho-hum, or you just want to keep it alive? Maybe you have the passion and you're looking at how you can keep it alive. So first and foremost, it's important to know that passion is internally generated. What I mean by that is, especially in a culture where we're inundated with media and pictures and ideas of what passion and sexuality and all these things are, is to know that it actually comes from within us, and we can push from the outside. We can put on that sexy dress, or we can put on that, you know, sensuous music, but we are creating that energy. We're creating those moves. We're creating that feeling and that ambiance. So the first thing is to know that you're putting that out there. And you can then, second thing is to identify the things that make you feel sexy with your partner, just on your own, maybe the clothing that you wear, the music you listen to, how you move. Enjoy your physical body, right? Even when you're cooking dinner with your partner, or even when you're on your own, to just let that bubble up so it becomes a practice, that you start enjoying your own passion, your own sensuality. And so then another question that I was asked and that we put together today boiled it down to, what do you do when you don't feel passionate? So for example, maybe you have time constraints. You're a full-time parent and you've got tasks going on and you're worried about logistics, or maybe in your job you're an accountant or a lawyer, social worker. So there are sometimes external circumstances or just through time passing that we shut down, or we don't feel that passion. It's kind of ho-hum and we're busy with the tasks at hand. So again, the first thing is to notice what's going on. And if you haven't done it already, I encourage you to go on my website and do the webinar, free webinar, Genius of Non-Judgment, because that really gives you the opportunity to separate a fact out from the judgment that we give things. And when we can look at what's going on in front of us, just the facts of it, without the judgment, it liberates us to really deal with the situation. So let's say that you are an accountant and you're in the office every day crunching numbers and you've got time constraints, or maybe it's even close to tax time, and there's not a lot of passion available. So then just look at that and know you've got a job to do, you need to get it done, you have the time constraints, but maybe there are little bits in there that you can start to feel passionate about. Maybe you really enjoy solving a problem or helping a client, and to let that feeling of fun and excitement bubble up inside you. So to have those short experiences come. And I do want to make a note here is that you can feel that femininity and know that there's power in it. It doesn't have to be subservient. It doesn't have to be harsh. You're not in competition with men. A lot of times, especially some accent on the former feminist movement, was to wear men's suits or whatever, or to even burn our bras, either way. But to just know that your femininity, however you define that for yourself, however you define your womanhood, that there's passion in that, and let yourself feel that. Give yourself permission, especially if you hadn't given it to yourself in the past, or you've had an experience that has shut the passion down. And along those lines, I also would encourage you, we do have the Me Too movement, and if there have been experiences, if you've been subject to abuse, had events where you've been experienced injustice because you're a woman, get help, find support. You do not have to do that alone, and you can move through that. You are not destined to be stuck without passion and playfulness in your life. So those are some of the areas that you can work on. Take it real small, just baby steps, if you will, at the beginning, and then to let that grow, to let it grow. And the last thing I want to share with you is it's a practice. So for me personally, my father had 22 cousins and 21 were female. And so his dream was to have boys, and he ended up with 3 girls. He wasn't real thrilled about that. Of course, he loved us, did the best he could, but we were raised like boys. And it may sound a little odd, but quite honestly, it wasn't until I had my first child that I was like, oh my God, I'm actually a woman. I mean, it just really sunk into my consciousness what it was to be a woman. It wasn't just having a female body. It wasn't just having the voice or the looks, but it was like, whoa, there is power in this. And bringing children to the world was a passionate experience for me. But it's taken me years to really grow into the permission to feel passionate as a woman in the world. So I just encourage you, wherever you are in your path, to give yourself permission to feel that passion. And if it's in a quiet space, just on your own, in the bath with some candles burning, or it's out in a concert where there's music and there's dancing, to just really let that fly. Or it's in your job with, as I said, a project, or when you want to contribute to a meeting that you're in, or it's in your intimate relationship and you want to explore either your wild side or your soft side, or whatever it is that's going on for you, that you let that energy come up and out. So that's what I'd like to share with you tonight. I'm really grateful you all have been here. Again, I'm offering the retreat Woman Undaunted in the spring, in March, and we're going to be going into this and a lot more: power, passion, and playfulness. And please stay tuned. Our next webinar is going to be on playfulness, and I have forgotten the date. Oh my gosh, I think it's January 10th, but I'm going to post that on the website. And then we will be adding on one more in February, and that'll be on purpose. So I invite you all to come. And if you have questions or comments, please make notes of it. I'm going to post this, or this will go on live on my Facebook page. And yeah, thanks for coming, and I wish you a passionate evening. All right, everybody, take care. Bye.